I'm going to switch topics a little bit. One of your competitors in the primary election says that your non-support of Chris Carney for the House Appropriations post costs northeastern Pennsylvania dearly, millions of dollars, he suggests. What was your vote, and what was the reasoning behind your vote?
First of all, my vote is a secret vote. I'm dean of the Pennsylvania delegation. Under the rules, we meet and we give advice to the Steering and Policy Committee to fill vital seats in the Congress. Appropriation seat is one of those seats. Anyone desiring to stand for that vacancy makes their desires aware to the rest of the delegation. We meet in secret, if you can call it secret in a room like this. The nominations are made and then the vote is taken. The vote was taken. Another member of the delegation won the vote. I feel no obligation to break my confidences with my colleagues of the rule of the House. And I may say, this is a very unusual circumstance. It probably indicates just how far we're going from standard tradition. I've been in the House for 25 years. I've never seen a political operation for the assignment of a seat. These seats are prepared, and it's my obligation to relate that on to the Speaker and to the Steering and Policy. And we make that judgment not just based on parochial decisions. We make it based on the likelihood of service, likelihood of survival, competency for contribution, the likelihood of success of gaining the support of the rest of the Steering and Policy Committee. All these things are taken into consideration. I would have been remiss if I had discouraged my colleagues from putting someone up for election that couldn't have survived.
Your competitor also suggests that despite your years of service in Congress, that you don't have the significant influence. He points to that vote and also to solo earmarks report recently that you have about one half of Chris Carney's $9 million. Now,
Earmarks on what?
The solo earmarks. The most recent report shows that you have about half of Chris Carney's, I guess he has $9 million in earmarks. You have about half of that. Not that that's necessarily the measure of representation, but how do you respond to the accusation? Because you said that that's one of the reasons probably that voters should turn to you at this point.
We're in a silly season. It's also called a political campaign, and people are apt to make strange, ridiculous charges. I think you would find it surprising in the House of Representatives if someone were to suggest that I do not exercise a reasonable amount of influence within the House. I chair one of the most powerful subcommittee of the third most powerful committee in the House. I have participated in writing more vital pieces of legislation, not only this year and this session or Congress, but in many, many past Congresses. I venture to say there's no one in the Pennsylvania delegation, to my knowledge, that the president would ask to come to the White House to speak with him for an hour on some vital subjects, as just recently the president did with me. I'm constantly in communication with the leadership in the Congress, with the president, with the vice president, and with most members of the cabinet on a personal basis. Now, it is really humorous, because how many projects do some of our people have, and how many projects do my opponents have? I was successful in putting in the Wyoming Valley levee raising subject. That's a $330 million project, $1/3 of $1 billion, the largest water control project east of the Mississippi River. That compares to an awful lot of congressional districts that I've got the largest product in. I could run through, to bore you, the hundreds of millions of dollars from the VA hospital to the federal courthouse in downtown Wilkes-Barre, to the Stegmeyer Center, to the interstate highway system, to the Earth Conservancy, to the Social Security bill. I could just really go on and on. Now, obviously, whoever would make that charge probably is too young to know what I've done, because they haven't been around long enough, awake in life. But I like the humor down there, but there's a lot of truth to that. I'll make that point. I would have supposed my opponent probably in the primary made the challenge. And I've lived through Main Street. He dreams of Main Street. Main Street hasn't existed the way he dreams for 50 years. And you have to, as a matter of fact, I helped write and pass the Main Street Act through the Congress. Maybe we should have patented or copyrighted the name. But I'm working on right now probably one of the largest projects that will come to northeastern Pennsylvania and help it out significantly, both in employment and increase in research and development that we've ever had. I'll be happy if need be to go into that, but I don't usually talk about those things before they become a reality.
I think it would be appropriate, yeah, if it's a natural, if you could give us a.
Yeah, okay. I think one of the greatest challenges we have in our area, and we talked about it at our last meeting, is Marseilles shale and natural gas. It has been determined that it is either the second or the largest natural gas field in the world. It means extraordinary things, but it could also be very detrimental if not managed and handled properly. So having met with a lot of people, particularly academic institutions in our area, we've been thrashing that for several months now, and I've been putting out some of my proposals. They put out some of their proposals. I think we've worked to a position that we're very much interested in putting together a energy institute, which would create the expertise necessary not only to how this energy is captured and removed from the earth, but how we save the environment, protect the environment, and that the release of the energy is not the only thing that's going to have an impact or effect on the area, but the political structure that's necessary for the area, the social structure, the educational structure, the medical structure. All of these things are going to be tested and challenged. And if we can develop an institute with the level of competency, it will be the, what did the president call it, the model for the nation.
Mark, if I could just, Congressman, on the subject of Marcellus Shale, how involved are you with the with what's going on with the drillers? Some permits have already been let and issued, and some of the drillers have already been cited. I think up in matter of fact, Giving Township, they've already been cited. You know, what are you? How involved are you with the process and the protection of the region?
That is really not a federal question at the moment, except EPA may have jurisdiction. They now have either been called in or have voluntarily come in as a result of their knowledge, and that's good. That's an executive decision of a special agency to protect the environment. But the licensing and that is a state matter. I don't like to criticize the state, but I don't think we've advanced nearly as far as we should have in revamping our systems to handle this tremendous find. And rather than, and now it's a political issue from the standpoint, there are some people in the world that think that the licensing, permitting, and the control of mining or drilling is a private matter, and it's to be controlled by the owners and the companies, and others view it as having an effect on the environment and the people generally. I happen to think that the second position is as strong as the first position. So as a result, that fits right into what we want to do with the Energy Institute. We think that should be taken up, studied. We're going to have other challenges like this other places in the country, and we're going to have the expertise and the thought process to potentially supply them with best practices in the future. And I think we're going to be successful at it. We have the support of, a matter of fact, the fact of the matter is we're going to have a meeting in the White House this month.